And welcome to our Facebook Live today. I have Melissa Caputo here. She is on a 7-figure influencer team. It's called Think Media, and she's going to tell us how she got started, how her multi-passionate skills and talent have led her to this fun place online. So Melissa, take it away and tell everyone, your story, how you started.
Thanks so much, Emily. I am so happy to be here. And especially during this time that we are in the world, I think it's the perfect time to be having these conversations. Virtual assistants and people in this world are so specially set up to be able to be successful throughout this time. So I'll go back into my background, but I just want to say I'm very grateful to be here. So I started with Think Media only about a year and a half ago. I say only because it feels like it's been about 5 years. So I've been with Think Media a lot of different capacities since then. Prior to being in Think, I just did a lot of different kinds of work. So I've been in, I have a degree in neuroscience. I didn't do anything in that realm at all. I went straight into actually a job trading on stock market. And then I started my own company. I did digital media and I did a variety of other things. I did bookkeeping for a while. So I've kind of always been somebody who's had my hands in a lot of different things. When Think came around, I started watching them because I had my own company. And so I was looking at their suggestions for cameras and tech and trying to learn, how do I do videography? Because I just sold myself as somebody who's going to do videography for companies. I saw an opening in the market and I was like, oh, I'm going to do that. I didn't have any of the skills to do it. So I started following naturally, right? Entrepreneur mindset. I can figure it out.
Exactly. I love it.
So I started following Sean on all his different platforms for that reason. And then at one point they put out a public call for hiring, and they were just hiring basically a low-level part-time customer service position. I was running my company and we were just going crazy because it was something that a lot of people needed, but it was so much work and I was a little burnt out. I was pretty tired. And so I was thinking maybe I can just do this on the side and I can kind of cut down on my media client. I applied and I was like, I don't know. I don't care if it's low-level customer service. I just want to be connected to these people. I didn't care really what the job was. I was just these are good people to be connected to. Miraculously got the job. I am still so blown away to this point that my journey took me to getting the job with them, because there's other great clients and I just know that are great applicants. And so I feel very grateful to have gotten that job. And they hired me on, not for customer service, but they said, you know what, you seem like somebody who could help us on our operations team, which is basically code. I was just talking to Emily. Operations is essentially code for you're going to have your hands in everything, right? In a small business, operations is you're going to do our systems, our processes. There'll be a little bit of managing. You're going to be in emails a lot, so I jumped into that role. I started as an intern. I was I don't even know if I was paid in the very beginning, but I was paid very low level because they kind of do this testing internship with you. So I have multiple job titles basically at this point, but I manage our marketing for the company and I co-manage operations. I'm underneath Heather Torres, which is Sean's business partner. And so I have the amazing blessing to be able to be working directly under both of them and just having been mentored and tutored by them.
So first of all, I love that you were already in the audience when they did the job posting. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's a key for a lot of virtual assistants out there. And when I say virtual assistant, you all know I mean more of the catch-all behind the scenes, like Melissa said, doing whatever. VA is just the general vast term that everybody uses. So be on the lookout for the people you want to work for. Join their email list, follow their social media, and don't be afraid to apply because they want to hire somebody who's already familiar with their brand. So what was that? Was it a Facebook post, or tell me where the job was posted?
Yeah, they actually put out a YouTube video, but they is where I first saw it, but they actually advertised it on social and I believe in their email. And I will say whenever we've hired, we've always hired from within our community. because it is so important to have somebody who knows our products and knows our messaging, and somebody who's already like us enough to be in our community.
Yeah. And I've seen that time and time again on other teams as well. And I just posted a job I saw for Julie Solomon's team. And now I follow her because of my PR background. But it was just kind of more of an example for people to say, look, even in the job description, she says she wants to hire somebody who knows her. So it's on the email list. You don't have to open all the emails, but start following the people because they need resourceful teammates. And Melissa was willing to, I don't want to say work beneath her. I mean, you were willing to take a lower level customer service entry job, not because, you wanted the skills and you wanted to be on the right team. And from there, you would have grown no matter what job you've gotten. I guarantee, I can tell that you have all the skills that you just have to get your foot in the door, which is the hard part.
Yeah. And I definitely wouldn't say either it was beneath me. I was honestly happy to have that opportunity to go in entry level because, I might have all this different experience, but it's always different. And I think that's really important key too, is just being humble enough to see the opportunity. And, if you want to be working at the weather station, if you want to be on TV, and the only way you can get in the door is to be literally a janitor in the building, that's what you do. And you're grateful for that opportunity. That's kind of how I see it.
And I so didn't mean it to sound like that, but you're so right. Put in the door that way by doing the work, by willing to do the work and show the work ethic and just be part of something larger than yourself, So I've hired my own interns. Once they've done really good, I've used the intern program as a testing way to see who I want to work with. So how long did it take you to get promoted or go through their evaluation phase?
Yeah, I think it took not a long time for my role because I was added into the mix in the middle of the time they were in desperate need of help. And so it only took me about a month to be at the intern level. And then I was hired on full time, but I had to scale up the entire time. So I didn't just immediately come into here's your shiny title. Here's a great, paycheck, whatever it is. It was scaling up the entire time. And so it was a lot of patience for probably 6 months until I got to a point where I was this is a really cool spot to be. I'm very, I was happy the entire time, but it took at least 6 months till I was at a point where I felt this is where I could be for a little while, if that makes sense.
I think most job experience curves, are 9 months. So you have to give yourself the patience and you start slow and you start adding more and more to your plate and you make yourself crucial and really a part of the team and knowing what's going on. So the fact that you felt like that in 6 months, I think is awesome.
Yeah, it was very fast. It was 6 months, but it felt probably at least a year or 2 years. A lot happened.
Probably trial by fire. I like being part of teams when I know exactly what I'm doing and yet the burden isn't on my shoulder. There's something good about being behind the scenes and being on a team and not having to be the figurehead. And it's a good spot for some of us. We like it here. So I love your story that you kind of you dabbled in so much before you figured out what you really liked.
Yeah, and I would definitely say that if you're somebody, especially when you're in the entrepreneur world, there is a need for entrepreneurs, but you feel this pressure to be I need to desire to be the CEO. I need to be leading my own company. I shouldn't be happy here because the entrepreneur world so speaks to that kind of person. But those people wouldn't. Frankly, you can only go so far on your own. So they need entrepreneurs. And it actually, I think, speaks to a different level of strength and confidence to be able to say, I don't need to be the top. Yeah. And I'll be frank, I do want to run my own company someday. But I had to learn to be patient with where I'm at right now because I know it's so valuable. And if I was not happy running my own company at that time because it wasn't the company I wanted. And I was super naive to it all. So this is amazing to get to have this experience. But even if you never want to become a CEO or, own your own company, you are incredibly valuable and strong and important. like, but that takes like I said, that takes so much strength to be able to sit in the background for a lot of people. So that's like its own skill set.
So have you read the book Rocket Fuel? I'm sure you hear about it all the time.
I have not read it. It's on my list.
It talks about, well, I'll sum it up for you in one sentence. It talks about how the visionaries and the integrator personalities, behind the scene business sidekick personalities, are outnumbered 4-1. So I mean, there's more visionaries than there are the people to really make the business successful behind the scenes. So that just tells you everything. Like if you have this like talent for this, I guarantee you could find a place on a team like Melissa did. So tell me what your biggest strengths are in your job. Like what makes you good at your job?
Ooh, okay.
Don't brag.
Well, I would start by qualifying everything that I have, since I was a kid, have struggled with the fact that like I don't have, like a talent. I was not the kid who was like getting up on a stage at talent show, or who was like naturally gifted at sports. I can't sing. I'm not very good at playing instruments. I like a lot of things, but I can't draw. Like I never had any natural talent, and that sounds like horrible to say about yourself, but I've accepted it because I realized that my talent was being adaptable and being really hardworking. And so I have always had to fight for anything I had, because I'm not even like naturally really great at school. I'm not naturally super smart. Like I had to fight for everything that I ever did. And so encouragement to anybody out there who also has had those feelings. It actually can become a strength, because it pushed me to be the kind of person who would just, like I said, fought for what I wanted, who went out and just figured it out. I was the person who would read through all of the tax, like the instructions on the tax document for like your Schedule C or your 1099. Like I read everything because I just wanted to understand it. And it sounds like a silly example, but that's because we're all probably doing our taxes right now. And so, that was just what kept me going through college. That's what kept me going through multiple jobs, and what is, to me, my skill set in this job. And so that was like the big picture. And I don't know if you want me to go into more detail of like what skills I've had to learn to be able to succeed in operations. But just generally speaking, it's just been working super hard, looking for answers, not taking no for an answer, and not having an attitude of like, oh, like this is unfair, or this is, too much to ask of me. It's like stepping to the challenge and being like, I'll figure it out one way or another.
I love it, because I encourage all of I call them unicorns, to do the same thing. Like the bottom line is, a business owner and the team, they just need somebody who will figure it out.
Yes.
That's it. And like you can do that with the tools on the internet, with your network of friends and peers. I mean, that's like the best quality any entrepreneur can hire. So yes, I would love to know like a few of the little nitty gritty, granular details of things you do and what you've learned along the way.
Yeah. Well, just going back to that point too, really quickly, is that when I've done several rounds of hiring now since I've been in the company, and that is like one of the top things we look for, is somebody who figures things out, because of the kind of company we are. And, we need to be able to just give people stuff and say like, go figure this out. So there's like natural, qualities that we look for in somebody, that they have integrity and hardworking spirit. But like probably the third thing we look for is the ability to go and figure stuff out.
How do you find out if somebody has that based on the application, or is it in the interview process? Like, give us some insight.
Yeah, that's a great question. So for me, when they were hiring me, what kind of pointed to the fact that I had that ability was because I'd done so many different things and without the experience in it. So it kind of showed like, obviously she's somebody who can just figure it out. Because
this is so stupid, but I never thought about using that, because here I'm a military wife. I've never had a job longer than 18 months. I've done so many jobs. I never thought about packaging it like that.
Yes. Yeah. It's always how you package it. Yeah. Because we're taught in the traditional job market that that's a bad thing. And we're taught like, oh, you need to have like job longevity. But truly, actually, the fact that I had touched so many things like was what they were looking for. I had touched bookkeeping. Oh, that means I can help in finances. I had touched like running my own company. It means I had like, leadership and basic stuff like that. I had been in the media world, so I could understand what a huge part of our business is. All of those things are like an amazing portfolio for anybody on here, because I'm sure that everybody who's in the virtual assistant world, you've had that experience where you have been in all of these different areas and you might not feel like you're mastering any of them, but that doesn't matter. It does not matter that you've mastered everything. It just matters that you have like been exposed and you have a basic understanding and you can pursue any of them that you need to.
I could have used this advice back when I was 20 something and applying for jobs, and people could see that I moved a lot and would kind of make me feel bad about that, but like find a way to spin it positively and own it and make it your strength. I think this is the best advice ever.
Yeah, I think that it's becoming more recognizable in our job fields now, but it's definitely something that, at least for anybody like around my age, like that's what we've been taught all through college, is that it was a bad thing, but it's powerful.
Yes.
It's power. And it doesn't have to be in professional sense either. Like I do a lot of random things. I'm a very eclectic person. I was like renovating my house at the time by myself, and they pointed to that as like, that's really cool that you do that, because that shows like that you're hardworking and that you're like trying to figure stuff out and that you're going to YouTube to learn. We're a YouTube-based business, so that was important to them. So you have to like be creative and think of like, what are the cool things that make you you and that make you unique and make you stand out. Doesn't have to just be professionally, but also personally.
So how do you see that in your job applicants? Like, are you looking at the cover letter, the resume, the interview? Like, shine some light on that.
Yeah. So we always do a first pass through people's, we actually do like a Survey Monkey. That's like our first level, because we ask them questions and we'll have them submit their basic like resume data, but we'll also ask them specific questions. And so, standing out on that round of things was important for us. So you do need to be able to stand out written. And then once you passed like that bar, basically, we do go into the verbal interviews, like on camera. And I think that's where you can really see it the most, is when you're talking to people, because when you ask a question, like, tell me one of the most difficult things you've dealt with in your professional life. Somebody that really reveals somebody, like, hopefully they've gone through something difficult. That's one thing we look for. Like, hopefully you have had a difficult experience. It is not a plus to be like, actually, like, it's been smooth sailing. I've done perfect. I've been great. It's actually a plus to say, oh, let me tell you, it was crazy. And we ask people like what mistake they've made.
Oh, good.
And how they fixed it. Because again, I make a mistake on every single day. So you have to be able to fix it. And so again, being honest, and like, honestly, a big mistake is a great story, because you have to really work hard to come back from like a really big mistake. So those are things that we ask and that we look for. And so on the paper, like on the Survey Monkey, we look for people who've had a lot of different job experience. Sometimes it's not a requirement, but that's something that will come out or will stick out in our brain. Somebody who is active in our field. So somebody who who is on social media, who goes to YouTube, who is in that world. Generally, if they're following us, they're probably going to be in that world, but we still look for that, like, on the paper. And then, answering the questions, like when we interview customer service people, we'll give them a scenario of like, how would you handle this customer? And they have to like respond to it. And that's a huge, huge part for us. And so we're just seeing on the paper that they have like the necessary basic skills, and that they, write decently and that sort of thing, if it applies to our job. And then when we bring them on camera, we're asking those hard-hitting questions and trying to get down to like the character of the person.
Like, can you work with this person?
Yeah.